You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
All right, huddle up. We're going to crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the finish line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. Ballgame.
What's going on, Dolphin Talk Nation? We welcome you back into another episode of The Finish Line. As always, I'm your host, Reason, and I'm joined by my other co-host, the legendary Richmond Webb and the Triple OG Mr. Ballgame. And tonight, guys, we got a lot of Xavier and Howard talk on tap, a little bit of Tua talk on tap, and we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins cap situation because when you break it down, there are some questions that need to be answered. Besides all of that, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing good. Looking always forward to doing the show with you guys. Have nothing to complain about. Been watching a little bit of NBA playoffs basketball and watching Devin Booker. He's been putting on a show. So other than that, I'm good. I definitely see some of the injuries that have occurred during the NBA season. I think due to the shortened season, they're starting back up. So I hate to see some of the guys, out because of injury, because I know sometimes that does affect the games and stuff like that. But overall, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Mr. Ballgame?
I'm real good, man. It's been every week we get that's closer to the start of training camp. It makes me a little more giddy, and I'm just hoping that a lot of the issues that are circulating right now inside of the Dolphin community get resolved so that we can have the most positive training camp as possible. I like to see the fact that I also like the fact that, like you said, that there's a lot of new faces inside of the NBA playoffs for the finals this year. So that's all positive. That means there's some good things going on in the professional world in terms of sports. And it's all good. Watch your Reason.
I can't believe you guys are talking about the NBA playoffs and no one mentioned Trae Young taking a shimmy before draining a three.
Was it a true shimmy or was it
just
he
shimmied.
Shoulder? Was it just
he
shoulder?
shimmied. He did the shimmy. And then drained it. That guy is ridiculous right now. Trae Young's killing it.
Yeah, he ripping it up. Yeah, he is.
Trae Young versus Devin Booker would be. I know a lot of people, they kind of complained when the Lakers went out and, when the Nets went out, but it's like everyone complains about super teams and all this stuff, and now you're not seeing them, right? So, I mean, the LA Clippers, you're not seeing a super team because Kawhi's out right now too, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about those injuries. So it's good. It's nice to see fresh faces. And honestly, as a Raptors fan, it's nice to see Giannis choke once again. I'm not going to lie. Because he ain't winning it. I'm sorry. Giannis just ain't getting it done. Should have came to Toronto, Giannis.
Small markets, man. This is all good for small markets, man.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't want to be in Atlanta if they won a NBA championship the night of. There's going to be looting and rioting and pillaging.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
And that's when they're happy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope Booker wins it. And I'd like to see CP3 get it too, because he's been one of my favorite guards for a while. But all right. Talking about, let's get back to football. So the Miami Dolphins currently have $5.2 million in cap space. They have yet to sign Hunter Long, Liam Eichenberg and Javon Holland, and obviously Larnell Coleman as well. But those three first names are the sticking points. You add that on top of right now, you got the Xavier Howard thing going on. The question is, where's the cap relief coming from? Because this is also a team that usually likes to, A, every year they like to roll over cap. B, heading into the season, they like to have about $5, $6, $7, $8 million laying around in case something happens. I mean, the fact of the matter is right now, if a decent name gets cut, and I'm not talking about DeCastro, who got cut today by the Pittsburgh Steelers because there's word that he might actually retire because of his ankle injury. If there's a running back, if there's an upgrade at center that hits the market, this team doesn't have the financials to jump in, sign that guy, and then turn around and still sign the remaining drafted rookies, as well as give X more money. So a couple names you look at is Devontae Parker, Jakeem Grant. The problem with Allen Hurns is his contract is actually, to get proper cap relief from Allen Hurns, you'd actually have to trade him. Releasing him will actually cost you about $3 million towards your cap. So the question is right now, where is the cap relief coming for the Miami Dolphins? And with $5.27 million on your cap only available, do you guys think that they are in a tough position right now, even just getting the rookies handled? Richmond, I'll start with you.
No, I guess I look at it a little different. The only thing that may concern me is, like you said, if the season starts and they need to sign a quality veteran or something that maybe gets released or whatever. But I just looked at it as a cap. The thing that does concern me is, like you said, with Hunter Long, Eichenberg, and Holland, you want to get your draft picks signed and you want to get them into camp. And I've been there before where we sign a guy, as soon as that guy signed, somebody's getting released that same day. So I'm sure they have a big board up there that they've got guys ranked from the top guys to the bottom, and it's by position. And I'm sure that they got more depth at certain positions than they do at others. And when they sign a guy, someone's going to be released, but then it's going to also, the cap numbers are definitely going to play a part in it. And like you said, if they want to save some room, it's definitely some people that's possibly earmarked that we sign this guy, that we're going to release this guy, we sign this guy, or they can't trade him, anything. So the thing that really concerns me is like a guy like Eichenberg, if he's being considered to possibly compete for the starting position at the right tackle. And I think we all know how important it is to solidify that offensive line with the way, they brought in the weapons via draft picks and veterans as far as the receivers, and really upgraded, the receiver position. Get a guy like that signed so he can start working, getting acclimated, getting the playbook to where he's familiar with all that, and he'll be ready to go from day one. So that's more my concern than the cap bit. I would like to see him save some money, because you always have injuries or something throughout the season or whatever. And if you're just maxed out on the cap, you're not going to really be able to bring nobody in. So it is interesting. I don't know how they're going to work it, but I'm sure they're going to work it out.
Like, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a little bit of cap, would you entertain bringing in Mitchell Schwartz once he's healthy to solidify the right tackle and get another veteran on that line? Because, I mean, yeah, he's like 31 or 32, but other than his injuries last year, heading into last season when they drafted Lucas Niang, who was one of my favorites in that draft class coming out of TCU, Mitchell Schwartz was a top 3, top 5 right tackle in the NFL. And he had some lower body injuries last year. Obviously, he didn't suit up for the Super Bowl. This is a topic of conversation I've had on my Inside the NFL show. Would you sign a guy like Mitchell Schwartz? Because right now, as it sits, you're hoping 3 guys take second-year leaps in Kinley, Hunt, and Jackson. You're hoping either Skura finds his old form or Dieter, who would be a rookie at the center position because he's never actually played it in the NFL. And you're also hoping a guy like Liam Eichenberg limits his rookie mistakes and the learning curve as a rookie. Would you feel more comfortable if you had the money to sign a guy like Mitchell Schwartz to solidify that and let Liam Eichenberg learn a year behind him?
If I had the money, the only thing that if you Schwartz, you bring a guy in like that, he's a veteran, he's proven, so that answers a lot of questions. The only questions you got is, can he pass the physical, and do you think he can last through a season or whatever, just depending on his injuries. Just because he's 31, that doesn't concern me, but the lower extremities, which normally is a knee or something like that. But other than that, if you can get a quality veteran like that, and I think we talked about it, even a possibility signing the guy from the Ravens earlier this year that, you have to pay a little bit more money, but this guy is proven you don't have to go through all the learning curves that you normally have to do with a young guy, rookies. And then it gives, when it gets tough out there, you have a couple of veterans to kind of sell the group and keep everybody even keel. So I definitely would entertain that as long as he could pass the physical.
So, ball game, what are your thoughts on the current cap situation? $5.27 million. They haven't signed their second round picks and their third round pick. They don't really have the money to sign all those players and then give X more money on top of that. So what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now, and I think the more likely choice is going to be that they're going to probably call in Parker, call in Grant, and call in Hearns and ice them all to reduce those salaries to make the room. Parker, I think, is probably on the way out anyway after this season. I don't know how you approach him to get him to do it other than just, convince him he's still a part of what you're trying to do for this season and possibly next year, and then you renegotiate something different for him, maybe on the back end. But I don't know of any other places unless they just make some massive cuts right away that, you don't leave holes, not being able to take 90 into training camp. So somewhere it's got to come from, and your deepest room is the wide receivers, and then the latter signing that you made for the secondary in Coleman and the twin, what's his name?
McCourty. You know what I'm saying? Aside from that, I don't really know where else you could pull it from. It's got to come from the group that you have the most, unless you go ahead and let Fluker go. You know what I mean? And figure out somewhere up front. Maybe you got a surplus, to that nature. But it's a little concerning right now because it doesn't make any sense. You can't go into training camp without those guys signed. So, but they've still got 4 weeks to figure it out. So I think I'd be seriously shocked if they haven't asked a lot of these guys to already come in and start trying to figure out how they're going to cut some of these corners. What do they need anyway? 36 is Holland, right? Number 36 pick. So you're looking at what? Roughly, I think they need about 3 or 4 million of that 5.2.
For the signees.
Yeah, to finish signing. No, just to finish off the rest of the guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even think they even to sign X. I don't even think they're even considering it right now at this point. I think they're still gonna hold fight to the fact that he on a contract. So that might be the position that they're just looking at it and then just saying, you know what, we'll just let the chips fall where they may, and that's not something that I want to hear or that I know Dolphin community don't want to hear. But I mean, when you got to deal with the business side of things, the guy is under contract. He's only 1 year removed from signing the deal. We didn't ask for any money back in 2019 when he only played 5 games. So, to them, it might be a wash. Play your contract, and then we'll talk to you later. Let's see what you got. You know what I'm saying? After this season, maybe mid-season or something. I don't know, close to get to the end of the year. But at this point right now, I think everyone that is, he on the contract. We got to take care of it. Although we got a couple other things that we need to take care of at this point. And, I think it's unfortunate. He should get his money, but, business is business, man. And the NFL, these teams are, as far as I'm concerned, these teams are all about looking. They're gonna do what's best for themselves first. I applaud players for wanting to go get their chips. I applaud players for holding. What I'm saying, but sometimes you gotta know when you really don't have leverage at all, and it's just more advantageous for you to come on in and do your job. Because I don't think he has any leverage at this point, and they're going to be looking to definitely get them other draft picks signed, and then take care of figuring out Gesicki and Agba, because he showed good faith by showing up too. Like, if you're on the outs with us, then you're gonna be probably the last of the priorities. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, man. This business is crazy, but it's some necessary evils to it.
So if they traded Devontae Parker, they would save about $9.386 million. They can't release him because you're gonna have a $10.45 million cap hit. Jakeem Grant, if you were to trade him, you would save $4.06 million. If you were to release him, you would save the same.
Right. Clayton
Fledglam, if you were to trade him or release him, you save about $1.96 million. The real kicker is Allen Hurns. If you were to trade Allen Hurns, you have a dead cap of 1.683 and you save 1.2. If you were to cut him, you have a dead cap of $2.93 million and cap savings of negative $50,000. So the Allen Hurns contract is not.
Gotta keep it.
That's not a good contract.
There's no advantage to it at all. Then
you got to trade it.
Trade it, yeah.
So, not a good contract handed out to Allen Hurns by any stretch of the imagination, especially considering where the player is at right now. This isn't Jacksonville Jaguars prime Allen Hurns over here.
So where we sit right now, we have just enough money to sign these other three guys.
Yeah, just basically enough.
Okay, I think if they sign those guys, that'll be it until we hit training camp, and then once things start shaking out, there's gonna be massive cuts, and the guys that like Fledglam, you know what I mean? They brought a whole bunch of guys in, Duke Riley, both Scott, all these guys that they came in and brought in these contracts. A lot of these guys ain't making the squad, so there's gonna be a ton of money freed up once they actually get down to it. Contracts like Hurns hurt us, but like he doesn't really have any trade value, and it's gonna really be hard for you to convince somebody to take Devontae Parker off your hand, considering his injury history. So the best thing, for him at this point, if he's looking at it realistically, he definitely needs to be somebody that's willing to restructure again. Because I don't see anybody beating down the door to come asking for him. None of these names that you mentioned, really. Grant, Parker, Hurns, Fledglam, ain't nobody coming asking about them guys.
A lot of time, if you do restructure, sometimes you can get a little bit more money up front. So,
right,
it get advantageous to, hey, if you do this, it helps us on the cap, but then you get, maybe some more money pushed up to where you can.
Do you agree with what I'm saying, though, Rich? Like, I don't really see Devontae Parker having a lot of value, bro. Like, when I think of the list of wide receivers around the league right now that are prominently talked about on Sundays, even some younger guys jump into the conversation before I hear people mentioning like Parker, right? And he's talking 7 seasons, going on 8 seasons now with us that he's been there.
Well, then it also hurts when a team knows your situation,
right?
So if they
exactly, ain't nobody, and I don't know too many teams that can be willing to just come to your rescue to help you with your cap situation or help you take a player off your hands that you don't want no more. You know what I mean? Like,
I know the Ravens are sniffing around the wide receiver market still right now.
Okay.
But here, just for an estimation of what it would cost, okay?
Yeah.
So the so the first pick in the second round
Mm-hmm.
would sign a 4-year, $8.68 million contract with a $3.87 million bonus.
Okay.
And Holland was what, the 5th pick of the second round? He's the 5th pick, right?
Yeah.
And then Eichenberg was 7 picks later, right?
Right.
Okay, so the last pick of the second round would sign a 4-year, $5.24 million contract with $1.3 million signing bonus.
So that's 1.3 at the 64.
Yeah, so you got to figure Eichenberg's probably making around 2, right? A year?
Yeah, 2 a year.
So him and Holland alone are probably about what, 4.5 million?
Million? Yeah.
And then Hunter Long, and then for the third round, just for the top pick in the third round is 4-year, $4.94 million. So, and the last pick when you get into to 10 compensatory picks in day 2, they signed 4-year, $4.49 million contract with an $832,000 signing bonus. So they're like $1 million. So yeah. So there's your like $5.5, near $6 million for the 3 of those guys. So
it may very well be going in. We may very well be going into camp with less than 90 then. You know, the number, which is not unusual. I mean, like close. You just want to be. They really just want to be at 90 just for uniformity. So that, you know what I'm saying, you really have the largest grouping of bodies that you can actually take a look at and, you know what I'm saying, kick the tires on. But, you know, when it all comes down to it, a lot of these positions are already filled. You feel me? You're just hoping that somewhere in the midst of this process you find another gem, right? Something that you never thought you was gonna find, and that you just, without a shadow of a doubt, you just was like, oh man, we got lucky. You know what I mean? So
here's a scary number for you guys too. Did you know right now the Miami Dolphins have the highest paid wide receiving corps in the NFL? $45 million. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at $44 million, and that's a wide receiving core that boasts Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Mike Evans as your top 3 guys.
Right.
Like, put that in perspective right now. That's scary thought, man. So, you know what? I was told by someone close to the Jakeem Grant camp that the belief is he's not going to make the team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not even be performance based. It might be salary cap based, because if they can save $4 million.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, any money that they save right now at this point, I think is immediately going towards negotiations for Agba first. I think Agba is going to be the priority. I believe Agba is the priority over Gesicki at this point right now. And
I agree with that.
Yeah, and
Hunter Long put that writing on the wall for Gesicki.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Come on, Rich. Rich, when you see it, right? You don't go. This dude is a complete tight end, though. You feel me? Not a one-dimensional. You know what I mean? A one-dimensional seam route runner like Mike Gesicki is. Now, you know, I get that the fan base is like in love with this guy, and he makes those bang bang. You know what I'm saying? The bang bang catches and things of that nature. But like at the end of the day, I still want my tight end to do dirty work. And this kid, man, if you look at Hunter Long's film, bro, he never shies away from the dirty work. This dude will block his ass off. This dude will do all of the, you know what I'm saying? He gonna block in the pass game. He gonna block in the run game. He can catch the ball in the intermediate zones, or intermediate areas of the field. He runs halfway decent routes. His hands, you know what I mean? He's got soft hands. He can catch the ball. Now he ain't gonna run away from nobody.
No,
but you ain't asking your tight end to do that. You ain't seeing too many tight ends that's gonna actually be able to spark off on somebody for 85, 90 yard. Get up and get out of there. Kelsey ain't doing that. Kittle ain't doing that, you know what I'm saying? But these dudes are where the quarterback needs them to be when he needs them to be there, type of things. And, you know, if I got to go with a rookie, I'll take a rookie that's going to give me something in all 3 phases of the job, as opposed to a guy that's just going to give me the wild play every now and then. I can get the wild play from my wide receivers. I can get that from my running back every now and then. I don't need that from a tight end who is deficient in run blocking and route running. Like, come on. So, yeah, Agba, any money they save and any cuts, Agba is the priority first, I believe, and then from there, they'll figure it out. And Gesicki really needs to be realistic in what number his agent or whoever is asking for going forward, because if it's not somewhere in the 7.5, 8 million range where Waller is right now,
he's asking for 10 plus. I'll guarantee.
Oh, he's tripping. He's not getting that. And Waller gonna reset the market with the Raiders. So,
and I'll take Waller every day and twice on Sundays over Mike.
And not even bat your eye about it, right?
Oh, yeah,
No.
Yeah, that guy does everything. He blocks. He does blocking.
You want to hear something? This is I didn't like when I heard this. So in talking with Nick Hicks, he told me privately, okay, when all the receivers and all the linemen were coming out and working with Tua, okay, when they were all working with Tua, Mike Gesicki came out for one practice. One practice.
Not good. Not good at all.
And we saw pictures when we saw that picture posted of him with all the players on the field looking at the tablet. You remember that when it went kind of viral? Mike Gesicki posted the same day of him on a boat.
Oh, so he already in diva mode.
Bro, I think I'm gonna make a bold take. I think Mike Gesicki's already going Hollywood, bro. I'm sitting there. I watch him in the Zooms. He's playing with his dyed blonde hair, and he's more focused on the blonde hair than he is the media availability. I'm like, yo, this guy's gone Hollywood on us, bro.
It really don't help.
He ain't one Jack Bo Diddley.
Yeah, and it really don't help that you got Kelsey out here talking about he top 5.
Propping him up, bro. That's what it is. Hey, ball game. If me and you are both corners and we're good buddies and we have good numbers to back it up, and I know your contract's coming up, sure, I'll prop you up in conversations when you come up, bro.
For sure.
Look at what Mac Jones and Devontae Smith did to each other.
Yeah,
Devontae Smith Jalen Waddle was propping Mac Jones up, bro. Before Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle came out talking about Mac Jones, there was no conversation of him being a top 10, top 15 pick, bro. Then they started propping him up, and everyone's like, "Oh!" So hey, I'm just saying, buddies are gonna be buddies, bro.
It's gonna be.
What I tell you, I'm here for championships. I ain't here for friendships, bro.
Facts. I think the biggest thing, man, what people gonna realize too, that Gesicki is who he is. I always believe that a player has the ability to adapt and expand their game, but I mean, I see the same dude that was at Penn State, bro. Like, real talk. 3 years in, now going to your 4th season in the NFL, that much has changed about him, bro. He's the same type of player. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything different. That's gonna be buyer's remorse for whoever goes out and re-signs him to $10+ million a season, because you're not getting an actual tight end. You're getting you're just getting a bigger body, slow receiver that has no blocking elements, and tight end is not in his repertoire. He's not a tight end. He's not. At this point, he's just he's a slow tweener. He's a tweener, bro.
And the franchise tag for next year is projected to be about $11.3 million, and the transition tag is projected to be about $9.6 million.
Yeah, he out of here. Yeah, I'm not paying him.
And here's the other thing he doesn't got. Not a Flores guy, because Flores didn't draft him.
No.
And Flores just drafted one of his Boston College alum. Like, if y'all saw the phone call he had with Hunter Long, he was bragging about, "Oh, you were the first Boston College player I've been able to draft." So he's going to be giving them all the reps.
Bro, if you think about it, bro, like, if you look at how Shaheem is built, and you look at how Hunter Long is built, and hell, even if you look at how Durham Smythe is built, all those guys look like tight ends on the field when they're down there lined up next to the lineman. Mike Gesicki looks like an out of place albatross, bro. Like, legitimately, like, it looks like it hurts him to get down into a 3-point stance. Like, it's just awkward. It does. Like, y'all know I ain't making this up. It looks awkward, bro. It looks like it hurts.
Our condolences to the Gesicki family if they're listening to this.
Listen, bro. Listen, if he don't know, if he doesn't know by now, everything comes with us. You know, even when we tell the truth, bro, it's, you know what I'm saying. There's always gonna be a little venom in it because the truth hurts. It is what it is.
Oh, bro, we were riding him hard last year.
Yeah.
Over his route running ability when we were breaking down the all 22 on inside the NFL. We would literally freeze frame it, bring it back, and be like, "What is this guy running right now?"
Can't even recognize the route, bro.
Buddy, he rounds out routes like a piece of salami, bro. Just a nice circle.
Gee,
all right. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wouldn't pay him $11 million. Let me put it that way.
No.
And the problem is some Dolphin fans are going to like that because as much as we try to stress, put the logo over the name on the back of the jersey, unless that name is transcendent, these people fall in love with these players too much and get.
I think when it's all said and done, then they're gonna give Hunter Long every opportunity to play as many snaps as he can handle this season. People gonna understand why they drafted him and why you need true tight ends. Like, it's cool for Kelce to bring up Mike Gesicki's name and all that type of stuff because they buddies and all, but he doesn't do what those guys do. Like TJ Hawkinson, you know what I'm saying? Mark Andrews, Kittles, Kelce, Waller,
Hunter
Henry, Jonnu Smith, you know what I mean? All these guys. And hell, Jonnu Smith making $12.5 million a season.
Yeah,
that was a reach too. But
yeah.
I know I Bill wanted him to go because he's a prototypical size for the position. OJ Howard, if he can stay healthy. Gronk. All these dudes can block, bro. All these dudes can do all three phases of what it takes to be a tight end. They all run above average routes. They all can catch the ball. They all can create space with their route running. They all block and commit to blocking in the run game. None of the things that Mike does, bro. So 11.5, whoever give him that, walk around with that sucker on your forehead for the rest of that season, because that's what you just got suckered into. We've been wanting to see him take his game to the next level for 3 seasons. 3 seasons, bro. Like, and
tell us how you really feel.
You commit to doing this stuff this year. All that tells me is that you're just trying to get it for your paycheck now. At this point, you're not about being a true professional, and that's what I want to see. I want to see guys improving because of their love of the game, not because of their pursuit of a bigger paycheck, bro. Like, come on, man.
And just for everyone out there, Richmond Webb does not endorse nor condone any of these comments.
It's time to reach in the creek and grab another 12-inch, bro. You've been pulling that record, scratching it back and forth. It's time to my man ball game went all the way in tonight. I was like, man.
And then he pats his papers down on his table too, like he knows what he's saying.
I just want Mike to understand, hey man, I love you, bro. I want you to be the best I want you to be the best professional you can be, bro. But it takes commitment, man. These other guys was out there working, bro, and you was on the boat, chilling. Like,
and ball game's giving you 11 million reasons why you're not worth 11 million.
You can't get better. You can't get better on the boat.
Yeah, that's true.
The tight end is supposed to be the tight end is actually the quarterback's best friend.
Yeah, bail them out all the time.
Yeah, their relationship, man, they should be able to read each other's thoughts without it before the ball is ever even snapped.
Mm-hmm.
He's a safety blanket.
I agree.
I mean, you say great things about Tua, but I don't necessarily know Tua trust you like that because you ain't showing up for him. I wouldn't. You got to prove it to me.
It's true. Yeah, when I heard that, I wasn't a huge fan. It's just not a you want to see him out there. It's like, I don't know if you guys heard Nick Hicks tell the story about it apparently started raining really hard while Tua was out there training with the wide receivers, and everyone went under the tarp while Tua stayed out on the field. And they're all like, why are you out on the field, Tua? He's like, I'm out here trying to get better. You guys all should be too. Get out here. So, I mean,
that's an old school mentality there.
That's it, man.
But he had to FaceTime Gesicki to tell him that, though. He wasn't on the field.
Rich, think about it. Y'all think about it, right? Like the game of football, bro. No matter how much they try to revolutionize it and they try to make it into something else, you know what I'm saying, and turn it into this passing league, there's still a physical element to this game that's required, man. And the mental toughness and the physical toughness of players is still always going to be called to the table. And those that have the mental fortitude and the physical fortitude to actually stand and withstand some of the things that actually come along with playing this game will be fine. But those that are just there just to go along and be a part of the process and, you know what I mean, and not commit themselves, they go away real fast because at the end of the day, I don't care what nobody say, the New England Patriots are still as successful as they were because they were a defensive-minded team with a run-based philosophy. And that still wins games because when you got somebody punching off 4.5, 5 yards of carry consistently down your throat, you got to either do one or two things. You either going to get the hell out the way or you're going to man up and you're going to figure out how to stop them. And a lot of teams can't do that. And I believe even with these small running backs we got and the two big ones that we had are larger than Gaskins and what that boy name?
Hawkman?
Yeah, Hamed. Yeah, Hamed. Whatever. Yeah, him. You know him. That's gonna be the focus. Punish people, man. Punish people. Gesicki ain't out here trying to punish nobody. So I mean, I ain't gonna even go back to Mike. I'm done with Mike right now. But Shaheen, Hunter Long, I think them boys look for that contact, bro. They like being able to manhandle and, you know what I'm saying, and physically just maul on people. Along with Hunt and Kenley, you know what I'm saying, and the dogs up front that really love the run blocking aspects of the offense. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this shake out. But if Mike Gesicki go to not being on the field but more than 25-30% of the time, bro, it's a wrap. Yeah. We're not paying $11 million for 30%, brother. Not gonna do it. Forget that. And true tight ends as well. True tight ends gonna always prevail over one-dimensional, spectacular play here and there, guys. So,
all right. So, let's move on to a little bit more of a lighter note. So, there was an interesting article that came out from Barry Jackson. And what was on it was a little tidbit, and it was a player insisted to me that teammates were really impressed with Tagovailoa's growth this offseason, and many on the team believe he's going to be really good. Now, if the teammates are starting to buy in on where Tua's growth is at, how he looks physically, where he's at mentally right now, do you guys think that would be the same for the coaching staff right now? And because I'll drop another little tidbit here, I was told privately that the new playbook is complicated and confusing that Chad O'Shea and George Godsey have put out there. Some of the, how do we call it, weaponry, find it that way. Apparently Tua is being quizzed on whiteboards and paper, and he's passing with flying colors. You now look into the couple of days of minicamp, a couple bad drops from Devontae Parker, and each time Devontae Parker dropped the ball, it was reported that Tua Tagovailoa was taking him to the side and basically coaching him up. So, if this is complicated and confusing to others, but Tua is known as the one who's grasping it the best, clearly players are going to believe in him a little bit more than they would if he wasn't too. So when you see now that the player, because remember guys, when the season ended, Armando put out the article that some players were doubting Tua Tagovailoa. Remember? Now that's totally flipped and they believe he's going to be quote unquote really good. So Ballgame, what are your thoughts on teammates starting to buy into Tua Tagovailoa and their belief that he's going to be really good in the NFL?
Well, I think the one thing that comes to mind is the fact that they're not buying into all of the foolishness that's out there in the media, right? And they're watching a kid, you know what I'm saying, go through the process of not excluding himself from anything. He's throwing himself headfirst and full-fledged into all aspects of this job and his role on this team. And the only way you really galvanize a group of grown men is by doing it from the front. You know what I mean? And making yourself a part of the process and not excluding yourself and feeling like you don't have to do this because of the position that you actually, you know what I'm saying, that you actually playing. So with that being said, I think it's all positives, bro. I think the biggest thing right now that he's proven to them is that, hold on. He's proven to them that he's as much there for them. Now they that's a gut check. They got to prove that they're willing to come and be and stand in total line with him, right? I'm going to meet y'all right here at this line. I'm going to be here every day. I'm never going to waver. I'm going to always be here and give you everything I got. And you got to look around and look at the eyes of everybody else. And then that makes them roger up that they're willing and they're ready for that type of commitment too. I think watching the players galvanize themselves and create this, you know what I'm saying, this bond between them, that stuff spreads to the coaching staff as well. And it also, if I were Gotze and Stuttsville, I wouldn't necessarily dumb down anything. It would make me stick with what I'm doing because at the end of the day, if my reports, what I've heard is Waddle got it. So if the kid, the newest addition to the process, is understanding and he's picking it up, these veterans should be forcing themselves to reinvent, you know what I'm saying, and reacclimate themselves with the fundamentals and the understanding of the playbook as well. Now, I get that some things, you know, terminology is always going to be a challenge, but concepts, if you're 6-7 years into the league, concepts shouldn't be anything remotely close to anything you're struggling with. Just terminology. And you got enough people, right? If you all rally together and you all sit around and you quiz each other and put your egos to the side and just get together to learn it together, that galvanizes them too. Like at the end of the day, they're only going to be as strong as their weakest link. I mean, I know that's a cliche statement, but that's really what it comes down to. This offense is only going to be as strong as the weakest link. So if they all learning it together, then everybody should be coming along at the same time and process. And if there's a couple out in front, which are going to always have outliers, those guys can rally back behind and pick up the strays and bring everybody along together too and encourage them. Hey, okay, so what you missing? All right, this is what this is. This is what this is. This is what this is supposed to look like. This is what he's saying when he puts this terminology in there. This type of thing. And if they're doing that, that's a part of that whole, what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks now, establishing their identity and creating their continuity together, you know, which is 100% key at this point. This is the time to do it now. You got 4 weeks before training camp starts. So when they get into training camp, as long as they haven't been introduced to any other new stuff prior to now, everything that they've been giving up to this point as a part of the playbook, they should be able to go into training camp ready to roll, ready to execute. There shouldn't be any hiccups. Maybe in the first couple of days, I'm calling a couple sets here and there, calling some stuff, and the guys have to reacclimate themselves to it because it's been 5 weeks or so since they've seen it. But after that, it should be just like this. But if that ain't happening, then that's gonna be a problem. But one thing is for sure is that they now know that they've got a guy who's leading them as their quarterback that's willing to stop everything individually and help each of them get up to speed. And that speaks volumes, bro. No man left behind. And I believe that's the mindset of Tua, bro. And I believe that's one of the things about it that makes him great is that he's 100% all in. And he was probably 100% all in last year. Just physically, his body just wasn't there for him. But now that his body's back and his mind is right, they're getting the best version of Tua, bro. And it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to, at any point, deny wanting to do your best for a guy when you see the guy giving his best for you. So, yeah.
Your thoughts, Richmond, on players thinking he'll be really good. And you made a lot of good points, ball game. Even the fact of how hard he's been working to get these guys together to work out in the offseason is going to make you buy in too, right? And I'm sure they've all seen these guys have seen the physical transformation far more firsthand than any of us have seen too. And they're probably sitting like, yo, this is night and day from where this kid was last year. But Richmond, your thoughts on players of the Miami Dolphins believing that Tua is going to be really good this year?
It's not a surprise to me. I think the only surprise is, like you said, a lot of guys was doubting him last year. And, if you kind of think about it, it doesn't matter whether it's the pros, college, or high school. If you're already on a college football team and say that the next class comes in, this and that, and you hear about this guy was a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star athlete, but you hear about him, you really hadn't seen him play, and they come in, it doesn't take long to pass the eye test. If you're a baller, you're gonna see signs early. You're gonna be like, oh, this kid is ready to go. And it was kind of just like early on this year, and you were talking about Penei Sewell, and I think you were on Twitter, and you say, have you seen it? You said, I'm gonna send you a clip. I seen a few plays, and I said, oh, yeah. It doesn't, when you're a player and you see a baller, it doesn't matter the position, even if you don't understand everything, you be like, nah, this is the real deal right here. It just sticks out like that. So I think, like Ball Game said, the main thing is that, he's healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of people saw him come in last year and just said, oh, he ain't all that. Yeah, they played at Alabama, but he was probably surrounded by all these players. So he didn't look like the Tua that we need. So guys kind of judged him on what they saw. And then now you end the season, and then, he goes, does his rehab, busts his ass, get in best shape, get strong, get healthy. And now he comes out, he's slinging the rock, and they're like, man, this ain't the same guy that was there last year. Well, it is. It's just he's healthy now. So I'm not surprised, but I think he's just starting to assume the role of a leader, kind of like we all expect him to, to hear that, he works with guys like Devontae Parker, says, they missed the ball. He comes and he pulls them to the side. He's not a guy that's trying to show you up in front of everybody. He wants you to learn because he understands, and he probably got this from playing at Alabama, that like Ball Game said, you're only strong as your weakest link. So, like he said, Waddle is bought in, this and that. If I'm a receiver and I know, okay, yeah, I might be making good money, but you get paid on incentives, catches, touchdowns, this and that. So my incentive would be like, okay, I can make me some more cheddar because I got somebody that can really get the ball to me. So, and I want to play. I want to start. I don't want to be the guy coming off the bench. I want to be there, this and that. So I think that type of attitude he has is going to be contagious. And I think guys are going to buy in, this and that. And when they see, like both of you guys said, his commitment and the way he works and his work ethic, other guys are gonna buy in. Either you're gonna be with him, or you're gonna kind of fade out, and then everybody gonna kind of be looking at you. And I think that's gonna be the expectation. And even at the end of the season, even Coach Flores said, we expect Tua to make a big leap in his second year. And I think, like we've talked about before, they knew he wasn't 100% healthy, even though he went out there and played last year. But that just shows the type of competitor he is, that he went out and still gave it his all, even though he wasn't 100%. And you can go to war with a guy like that, because a lot of times you might get nicked in a game, or you might get hurt, and you might have to suck it up and gut it out just to get through that game. But you can depend on a guy like that. So this is kind of what I expected. And, a lot of people, fans, whatever, the media's been really rough on this kid and prejudging, but I think a lot of people have to eat crow. As long as this man stays healthy and the thing go the way that I expect, he's going to really change some people's opinions about him.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's we got some feedback coming through. Let's hop into these comments from Xavier Howard that he made on the Man-to-Man pod with Darius Butler and Antoine Bethea. Let me share that, just because he says some key things, and I don't know if you've heard them yet, Richmond. So I wanted to play it. We'll play the audio, and then we'll break down what he says, because Darius Butler was just recently on Brandon and was on Tobin and Leroy and confirmed part of what's spoken here. So let's play that clip.
Carson Wentz, for instance. Carson Wentz, a guy get drafted at the quarterback position too. That's kind of like we spoke about the business side. That kind of like the writing on the wall a lot of times. So this offseason, the Dolphins went and paid Byron Jones, my UConn guy. They went and drafted a corner in the first round. And I know for some guys, you look at A-Rod, they drafted a quarterback in the first round. He turned up, had an MVP season. And I look at your situation, it's like, shit, you turned up and had pretty much a defensive MVP season. What's that mindset like? Especially, being in year 5, already paid, but now you got these other guys get paid and get drafted at your position. Did that have any effect on your mindset, or you locked in the zone?
For sure it did. I had the big surgery, coming off of that big surgery. The business side of it, they got to bring somebody in that's reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case my knee don't hold up, they draft the first round also.
Yep.
So I feel like it was a slap in the face. I feel like that added fuel to the fire. It just made me go harder. But on the time, my mindset was like, bro, like I said, I'm gonna get it out the mud, my back against the wall. Every time I bet on myself, I perform and do something well. So I wasn't really tripping on it.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's added fuel to the fire. And I did what I did. Each week in and week out, I'm like, man, I'm gonna make them pay.
Yeah. Double, right? I like that though. We've been talking about.
All right, so Darius Butler was on Tobin and Leroy yesterday, and he confirmed that he, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, maybe he took that slap in the face as like a wake up call," and Darius Butler confirmed that he took it as a slap in the face, that they went out and they gave that money to Byron, and then they turned around and they drafted Noah Benogany. Then he also says near the end of that. Those comments that he wanted to make them pay, and then Darius Butler said double, and he agreed and said double. Now, if you listen to the whole interview, he talks about betting on himself continuously, and that's where I push back a little on X, and I say, you know what, this team did bet on you because they made you the highest paid corner when you signed that deal, and you had knee issues, so this team bet on you. So I think that's a little ignorant to say that you were the only one betting on yourself when this team clearly bet on you. Ball game, let's start with you. When you hear him talk about it's kind of contradictory in the sense where he says, I understand the business side, they got to go out and get Byron, his insurance if my knee doesn't hold up, and then he says, the Byron and Noah Benogany additions he felt as a slap in the face, and he, going out there back up against the wall in the mud, they wanted to make them pay. And this interview, guys, is from back in January. What does that make you think about Xavier's mindset during this whole process? And is it kind of telling about where he's at? I mean, because here's the thing. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just won the Super Bowl, and you got guys like Mike Evans willing to give up some of the money on his contract to make all these other players fit so they can keep the same core and go for a repeat. We haven't won anything yet, let alone gone to the playoffs. And he's out here with this me attitude a little bit. And you already know how it is with Brian Flores. One of the main catalysts to them re-signing Jerome Baker was because he's a team player and he's a high character guy. And they gave him a little bit more money than some of us thought they should have, because he's a team player and a high character guy, plus he's still 24. What are your thoughts on, and he's gotten better every year in all fairness in the Flores scheme. What are your thoughts when you hear a player like this saying this? Because this was only about 2.5 weeks after the season ended, and he's out there saying this. So, I mean, when you look at the date of this, the defensive player of the year hadn't even been announced yet. And he had that mindset. He hadn't even won the award or lost the award, in his case, what ended up happening. But what are your thoughts of you hearing Xavier Howard say this when he had only completed the first year of a 5-year extension, which at the time of signing made him the highest paid corner in the NFL?
Well, to be honest with you, prior to seeing this video coming out, I was all for them sitting down and making him the highest paid Dolphin, right? I mean, he had a remarkable season last year, and can't take that away from him. But then when you listen to this video, you listen to this and them talking to him and asking him straightforward questions and him acting like the team is not supposed to do everything in their best interest to make sure that they're solid at the position or in the secondary, and bringing in Jones and then bringing in Noah, you know what I'm saying, with a first-round draft selection because of your previous history of injuries. That he lost me. Like I don't turn on players, right? But I can't understand logically why he would allow something like I'm gonna make him pay come out of his mouth when just in 2019 when you signed the deal, right? We signed you was making the highest in the league. You turn around and then you only gave us 5 games out of 11, and out of the 5 years you've been with us, you've only played 16 games twice. So like, but you don't see us coming back asking you for money that you didn't give us performance on the field. But no, let's come back to that in another, a little bit later. Fact of the matter is that this team is supposed to do everything that they did to ensure that they're strong across all fronts. Going out and signing Byron, they paid Byron what they paid him because the market changed. Unfortunately, if he had come and been up at that time for an agreement, right, maybe he'd have just held out a little longer and he could have been possibly sitting where Byron is sitting and they would have paid him close to the same. But that's not the case. You signed the year before. They signed Byron in the offseason after you got signed. The market changed. That happens. Get over it. But for me at this point, it seems like there's this level of entitlement now at this point when, like, in all actuality, dude, yes, you have individual statistics that lump you since 2018, you know what I'm saying? And, you've done it more than anybody, but they're individual statistics. As a team, which is what we're trying to cultivate, a team culture and a team mentality, that doesn't fit well. You're an outlier right now. You're a cancer. To my point, I'm looking at it because I signed you to a deal. And you want to come back 1 year after that and renegotiate? Well, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to, if we sign you to the deal and you don't perform, are you willing to give us some of our money back? That would be my question, because at the end of the day, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've never heard of it where a player comes 1 year after, 1 year later asking for more money. All because you mad at the organization for the fact that they drafted a young guy that's going to be brought up into this system. Because when you hit 30, you gone anyway, brother. Let's be real, right? And, like, we trying to take care of you. We did our best by you, even though you didn't give us 5 full years. You didn't give us 60 games. What was that, 5 times? Hold on, is that 60? No, 80. You didn't give us 80 games in 5 years. We ain't about to get into that. But you don't see us complaining about the fact that we signed you to the contract anyway on good faith of what you could possibly still have in terms of worth to this team. And then you want to turn around and talk about smacking the face? No, smacking the face is you saying you're going to make us pay for it when we already paid. Like, are you serious?
Let me ask you this, ball game. You see his reaction right there. And in Barry Jackson's article, the same one that talks about how the players are really impressed with Tua and they believe he's going to be really good, it also says Xavier Howard remains adamant about getting more money. The fact others have received new deals, including Jason Sanders, nothing personal, has made him even more dug in. If he doesn't get a new deal with more money, this could stretch well into August. If you go take the guaranteed money that that Baker has right now, right? It's about $9.47 million a year. If you were to stretch that over a 5-year span, the length of X's contract, he actually ends up with more guaranteed money over 5 years than what X would have.
Right.
So do you think X is seeing these other guys get deals and it's making him even more like, yo, what about me? Pay me?
Yeah. I get all of that, bro. But this ain't the way you do it, bro. Like, these guys have legitimately, if he's really sitting down looking at this entire situation, whoever is advising him needs to tell him, like, dude, they're not trying to screw you. But in order to keep this team thriving, we got other guys we got to take care of. I believe that the Dolphins will come back around and take care of him at some point, bro. But you already on the contract, man. And they're not going to break the bank for you this year just because you had a remarkable season last year. And then you turn around and we don't know how many games you're going to be available for us this year. But you're under a contract now. You're making fourth highest right now. You're the fourth highest paid corner in the league right now to date. As of, I think, March 1st, right? That's his salary. Well, his guaranteed salary makes him the fourth highest paid. So if you really want to just be the highest paid dude, then okay, we'll find a way, ask somebody to take a pay cut, and then we'll slide you another $3 million. That'll put you ahead of Jalen. And will that make you shut up then at that point? Because that's essentially what it comes down to. You want more guaranteed money if you're smart. But if it's the big number you're looking at in terms of a contract, like Jalen got 5 years, $100 million, he ain't making $20 million a season. No. He only making 14.2. So if we slide you of your 12.4 that he's getting or something?
Yeah, it's like 12.75, I think.
12.75. If we slide you another $2 million, then you're making more than Jalen. Will that shut you up? But then again, what precedent are we setting? Or what? Or better yet, I keep saying we like it's my paycheck. But this will be this is what I be doing, bro. I'll be realistically sitting down at the table looking at him saying, like, okay, well, I'll give you this, but how much of that money from 2019 you gonna give me back?
Well, my whole stance has been this: Jalen signed 5 years, $100 million, $71 million guaranteed, right?
Right.
If you were to guarantee the rest of X's contract,
right,
he would be at about $74.5 million. And you would be giving him 74.5 of his 75.25 would be guaranteed. So
I'm okay with that.
He would have more guaranteed money in his pocket than. And here's the problem: you asked about who's advising him. It's David Cantor, and we all know what Cantor's the guy who got Olivier Vernon and Paul
Soliai
paid out of town. So we got a guy who doesn't have a good history with us.
But he don't have no. But the problem is, X ain't got no leverage. He really don't have no leverage.
If the season starts and Noah ain't looking good, he's got some leverage.
But then he's hoping against the organization. So even then, it don't make you look good.
Yeah,
just show up, come to work. Let the chips fall where they may, man. I believe they'll take care of him, bro. But this holding out stuff doesn't help anyone. It doesn't. It never really does. Even my man Hunter in Minnesota wised up and showed up and got his deal, bro.
Yeah,
he showed up. He didn't show up the first day, but he showed up the next day.
Yeah, they reworked it.
He got his money. But ain't nobody gonna work with you when you ain't in the building. I wouldn't. Where's the faith at? We had faith in you when you were hurt, bro, and we paid you.
Emmanuel Ogba has no guaranteed money left on his contract. He's showing up.
Yeah. That matters, bro. Like, real talk. And look, and I'll be the first person. I'm always for these guys getting as much money as they can, right? Guaranteed money, because our contracts are different in the NFL than they are in the NBA. But there's a way to go about doing this, man. And sitting at home or making these videos where you taking shots at the organization because they had to do what they needed to do to ensure that the team was good, it never bodes well.
And that insurance they signed in Byron helped his numbers. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Yeah. Am I wrong, Rich?
No. It's just I said a couple of episodes ago. He has, to me,
got feedback ball game.
Way too many years left on his contract for them to redo it right now. The best thing he possibly could do is maybe they could guarantee some of the money. And I don't even know if they would do that, but I think that would be more logical than that. But if he has representation like an agent that's normally someone that's kind of hard to deal with and is pushing this, his agent is probably not even trying to work that angle. He's more concerned about making him the highest paid guy. But, like I said before, as soon as you become the highest paid guy, contracts continue. So somebody's going to always pass you up. So you can't look at that. Now, as far as I heard the comments and stuff like that, and I think Byron Jones definitely was a compliment and allowed him to do some of the things he did last year. And I understand coming off an injury, this and that, and then they draft a guy in the first round. And I could see where he possibly tried to use that as motivation. They're saying, they trying to do this and that to just make me work harder and this and that. But I don't think anybody said that, but I could see him possibly trying to think that way to keep himself motivated to say, okay, they trying to replace me this. I'm going to show them this. I'm going to show them that. A lot of guys use stuff like that for motivation. So, but I never been one to like take shots at my teammates, especially if, when you look at Jones and X, I think we had the best tandem combination of corners in the league, kind of like when we had Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain. I mean, when you get two guys that complement each other like that, that's just good chemistry, this and that. And you can't – I've never been a one to try to watch somebody else's pockets. If you get paid, I'm happy for you, this and that. But I have an opportunity to come back and get paid or whatever. That's the attitude I have made. So just gotta, you gotta work through it. But I think he'll probably hold out. It might be a long holdout, this and that. But I don't think the Dolphins are gonna budge. I think he's just got too many years left. And if they did budge, then that would always say, okay, why are we? To other players, it would just say, well, if we're unhappy, we have a hell of a year, then all we got to do is just do like X, and they'll give in just like they did with him. So I think they look at all that, and like you said, to me, I think the thing that makes most sense, if his agent will say, hey, we're happy here, we want to stay here, we're buying in, is there any kind of way, if you can't do this, can you guarantee some more of his contract that he has now to give him guaranteed money? And I think that would be a way I would approach it as, his representation, conveying that to the team and also to him. So, hey, man, it's a really good thing. I know it's a business side, this and that. You want to get what you can, but I just think he's got too many years left. I don't think it's going to happen. I said that before, and I just hold my guns on that. Not that he's probably not deserving, but it's not. I don't think it's going to happen right now. That's just my opinion.
So what happened last week too was Barry Jackson dropped yet another article, and in that article it talked about, you remember how last week we were talking about Byron Jones's comments and whether he was taking subtle shots at X. Well, what was said was quite interesting in this article, and it basically said Howard is believed to be considering his options at this point. Those options include asking for a trade, something he has discussed with confidants and would not be a surprising outcome. Whether the Dolphins would consider a trade, even if he holds out during training camp, is very much in question. The Dolphins declined to pursue a trade last October when Xavier Howard conveyed to the Dolphins that he was open to it. So they have known since last October that Xavier Howard is open to being traded. And if you do the numbers just to the end of October, he only had 4 interceptions up until that point. It's not, it's not like this was the end of the season, coming on the end of the season when he had 10. He had 4 interceptions up until that point, and he had conveyed that he'd be okay with a trade. So clearly, the Dolphins are aware of he wanted more money that early on, and he was open to a trade. My question to you is, did the Dolphins wait too long to handle this situation? Whether it was going to be, if you're going to give him more money, or whether it's going to be you move him, should it have happened before the NFL draft?
Well, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Yeah, if you knew that the guy was actually wanting more money and you had no intentions on renegotiating his contract, then yeah, you could have possibly kicked it around and throw it to the other 31 teams to see who was actually going to bite. But I believe they probably did, bro. I mean, it would really, really shock me if Greer didn't make some phone calls to actually see and inquire about moving him, and maybe what they were hearing back just wasn't enough in their heart to feel like it was worth trading him away for. And that, and that could be based off of the fact that they just feel like maybe they could convince him to come on in and they can get something worked out after this season, maybe, because it's unprecedented. 1 year removed from you signed the deal. Nobody really negotiating no contract that soon. So, and the other half would be like maybe they heard the rumblings of the fact that he was upset about the fact that they drafted Noah, and that they, saying they did pay Jones. But those are circumstances that don't have anything to do with him coming to work to do his job. You know what I mean? You're already under the contract. So, their stance could very well be, they could be more dug in than him that, listen, you're on contract. Every day you don't show up, you're being fined. And that's where we're going to stick to that. So him not having any leverage, bro, really and truthfully, Dolphins don't really have to deal with him. And the longer he sit, he's not getting any younger, right? And I know it sucks, right? But similar situation. Like the Texans emptied a whole – they took the lock off the chest and let all the skeletons come out of Deshaun's closet. Why? Because if you don't want to be here, then we just won't deal with you. And we're going to let everybody know who you truly are. We're going to, you're not a team guy, then, okay, we're not going to cut you. Because at some point, you'll get wise enough, you got to come back. Because he has to play a certain number of games anyway to accrue the year. Right? So he ain't got no leverage, bro. And I would hate for this to drag out and have these young guys have to deal with this. But this is the ugly side of the business, bro. And it's so much easier to come to work. And I know, man, I know people going to probably drag me for this. But it's so much easier to come to work and show a good faith and then let them take care of you on the back end than sitting out pouting because, one, I didn't like the fact that you brought in a guy to replace me, and two, then you went and drafted a young guy who's probably going to take my job in a couple of years. Man, this is the business of the NFL, bro. If that was the case, Deion Sanders would still be out there talking about prime time. He got pushed out too. Like, come on, man. You only got so long. You already beat the average. The average is 3 years. You had 5. And you complaining? They already got you on a contract. All you got to do is play the rest of your contract and you good, bro.
Yeah. The only pushback you're going to get on that from People Ball Game is NFL teams have no problems not living up to the obligations and cutting you
right,
and getting out of paying you. And yet, what about the flip side for the players when they want to get paid?
I get it. I get all of that, bro. Like, I really do. But, like, his problem is that 1 year. Now, if he was at 2, 3 years into the contract, I don't think they have a problem at all. But, Richmond, you ever seen somebody want to renegotiate out of 1 year?
No. That's why I said I don't see it happening.
It's just mind-boggling to me that we're actually dealing with this. Now I get it. Throwing some, we keep saying it all along. It's really an easy fix, I think. But
the scary thing, Ball Game, is what if we would have won? What if we would have won something? Where would his mind be at? Like if he would have won Defensive Player of the Year,
yeah,
would he have already moved to another state? Like that's where I'm getting at here. Like. We haven't won anything, and we're already dealing with this, man.
Here's the craziness: Stephon Gilmore still he's still sitting at home too.
Yeah, he's holding out. Yeah.
So every day, like
that doesn't help the market if you want to trade him either.
And he has on his resume Defensive Player of the Year.
Player of the Year.
Like, yeah, we feel like X got robbed of it, but he doesn't have that. You just got the 10 interceptions. Gilmore has the actual title. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. So that guy can't get a job. Ain't nobody came knocking on the door to come get him. Because I know what Belichick. I know my thought process would be as a coach too. Like you were hurt, and I was paying you premium money. You got good money from us, and you were hurt. And I had 2 guys that nobody gave a shot in hell of talking about being top tier, and one of them had 9 interceptions, and the other one had 8.
Yeah.
They household names now, J.C. Jackson and Josh Jones. The Jones kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they household names now. Them boys made a name for themselves with him being gone. So if I can get it done with 2 guys that nobody thought I had a chance in hell of getting it done with, why do I need you? And Flores may very well be thinking, I picked this Igbenogany kid for a reason. I picked him. I went and got him. He's my selection. Maybe nobody else likes it. Nobody else agrees with it. But I see something in him, and I believe I can make him great. Because he was a secondary guy. He did have control of those guys when he was up there in New England. You see what I'm saying? So to some degree, he had hand. He played a part in. The little guy been there a minute. You know what I mean? And J.C. Jackson, yeah. So,
what are your thoughts on it, all, Richmond? I mean, with him okaying a potential of being okaying and being open to a trade all the way back in October, I mean, what does that tell you? Does that tell you that he let them know very early on that he either wanted a raise or he was ready to move on?
Yeah, I think he knew, like you said, to have 4 interceptions in October, that's pretty early. So you're probably one of the top guys as far as leading in that category as far as interception. So he probably tried to use it as leverage to say, hey, if y'all want to trade me, cool, I'm good with it or whatever. But I think the Dolphins just said, no, we're gonna sit tight. We're not gonna do that. But the thing I was thinking about listening to you, a ball game, this and that, is the risk he runs is now you do have mini camp, you have training camp, so Noah would get a ton of reps. And when you still have Jones, and then you bring in guys like Phillips, you already got Agba, with the pass rush getting better, you can say we can lock down Jones, lock him up, and then if you have to play a safety or something to kind of help Noah, you can still get the job done because you upgraded the defense in other positions, this and that. So if Noah comes in, continues to get the reps, and then, like you say, Flores is a secondary guy and continue to work with him, and he gets it. Last year they just kind of got thrown in the fire because it was no training camp, no mini camp, anything due to COVID. So now you start getting those reps, and you don't bite on those deals working, against some of the top receivers. And you got some of the best receivers in the league right now, the way they upgraded that position. You work against guys like that every day on a consistent basis, you're going to get better. And it's not his skill set. It's just learning the position in this.
Reps.
And, yeah, so if Noah comes in and he starts balling, that dwindles your leverage.
Apparently, he was one of the more impressive guys at training camp. I mean, at mini camp too, was Noah Igbenogany.
Here's my thought process, and Richmond, I'm gonna tag on what you just said. The fact of the matter is, bro, like when you look around the league, most teams only have one alpha, and they have a guy, another tier guy, a little lower tier guy on the opposite side of him. Most teams are rendering help anyway, but like you said, improving the guys in the front 7 doesn't put us in a position where we have to play man press every down. We can go hybrid. We can go half and half on the coverage and have Jones lock up man to man and play zone the rest of the other 10 play zone, in the other 6 play zone. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to. And it's an amazing thing, because then at that point, teams can't scheme against just your man press. Yes, that's what we do well. But even then, 40% of the time we did it, but we only got 41 sacks. But you can improve your anybody that I talked to and once I coached the game, most of the interceptions we ever got came from zone coverage anyway. Not man. They came from zone. Because you can see the ball coming out the quarterback hand when you're in zone, because you're just guarding the area of the field, not having to worry about following that and shadowing that receiver everywhere. Drop back when he gets ready to let it go, you can react and you can beat the receiver to the spot. Picks. I believe Noah can do that.
Yeah,
the more
you're right. Normally the teams, and even when Dion played, he was shut down that side of the field, and you could.
The rest of the team played a whole nother coverage.
So it's and Jones is that type of guy, that he can. Hey, you go help over there, I got this over here. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
all right, boys. I mean,
the Iguodala pickup may wind up possibly being one of the best things that Flores did. You know, if all pans out, because at some point the kid's got to get on the field anyway. He's a first-round pick. You got to see what you got in him. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate. Listen, trust me, and I want to make sure people out there in the community understand this. I love Xavier Howard. I just hate the business side of it, and I hate how he's going about this, because I believe they'll take care of him if he do it the right way. Listening to this agent in these days and times, no player is going to be bigger than the colors. No individual player is going to be bigger than the team. It's not going to happen. Not with Flores. Not going to happen. And New England's been operating that way for as long as Belichick been there. These guys are disciples of Bill Belichick, and I believe that mentally that's the same way they're going to process this thing. No one player is bigger than the organization. Had they got rid of Tom. Tom had to walk because Tom wanted more money, and Bill said no. Come on, bro.
Well, Tom wanted more money because of what they were surrounding him with.
Exactly.
That's if you're not going to spend money on the weapons, give me the money.
But he had been. But think about it. He had been outside of Deion Branch, and like they got him Randy 1 year. You know what I mean? Like there really ain't been no top flight wide receivers in New England. Those guys were just good at what they did within that scheme, and he could trust them. But he knew the time was coming that he needed something different, right? The league is changing. It's becoming a passing league now at this point. So, yeah, if you want to take the money from me, put it into these guys. But, like, unfortunately, N'Keal Harry, he got hurt. You know what I mean? They tried.
He's bordering on bust because he's a first-round pick.
Yeah. You know,
he's been a first-round pick on Sony Michel, too.
Yep.
All right, guys. So let's go over. This is actually thank you, Xavier Howard, for providing us with arguably our longest episode of the Finish Line. So let's get into some final thoughts. Richmond, start with you. Final thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, I think the thing that I just like to tell everybody is that it's nothing personal. We just analyzing it from both perspectives, from the way the team looks at it and the way a player looks at it. So it's nothing personal either way. We're just trying to give you insight on that bet. I think my sticking point is not that he's not worth the money, and I'm talking about Xavier Howard. It's just when you have that many years left on your extension that you just did a couple of years ago, I don't know of a team that renegotiates that early. So the thing, I think reason you brought up the best point is try to solidify or get some guaranteed money of what you already have left remaining. And I think that would be more feasible than saying, okay, I want to come back to the table and I want a new deal and I need to be the highest paid guy. So to me, the guaranteed money is very important, and you get to secure more money for life after football, this and that. So whatever it is, I hope they can work it out and, they can come to some kind of agreement, this and that. But I think it's going to be a little long drawn out. I don't think it's going to be fixed anytime soon. So we'll just be patient and see how it plays out. But hey, I didn't even think about it until ball game said it. We're about 4 weeks away from training camp, so definitely looking forward to that. Looked like mini camp was good. It's good to hear that the players are excited about Tua and how really good he's going to be, this and that. And it's just kind of confirming some of the things we talked about. So always good to hear things like that. And like I said, I'm just scratching the days off the calendar until we get ready for training camp in the season. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I think the move for the Dolphins at this point would be to get him in, sit him down, and just convince him to play out this season, and then the new money hits next year, and then they can take care of him then, right? Guarantee whatever needs to be guaranteed to make him the highest paid in the league at that point, because I don't know too many guys that are up for contracts right now that are going to top what Jalen's getting. So if he can just surpass Jalen just a bit to make him the highest paid Dolphin, that should suffice. But run the numbers, do the business with him, and get him to see. You know what I mean? They're not trying to slight him. Appreciate what he brings to the table. Want to take care of him, but you got to come in. You got to be inside our house, man. You got to step. Can't do business on the front porch. You got to come on in the house and sit down at the dinner table so we can break bread the right way. You know, aside from that, I'm optimistic that like I keep saying over and over again, this wide receiver room gonna be brutal, bro, when these cuts come, because there's some talent. There's some definite talent to be had still in this grouping, and I think it's probably gonna wind up shaking out to be something that we're not anticipating. You know what I mean? Like, we could look up and there not even be a Devontae Parker in this group because he's struggling. All right, continuity also comes down to guys that can actually pick up the scheme, and if he's struggling, which some of the reports have said that he's struggling with the concept, he might be gone. They might just find a trade partner and take whatever they can get and move on from him, Grant, and whoever else, just so they can free up the rest of that money to take care of Agba, because I believe like I said earlier, he's the target right now to secure his services. And then take your chances with with the younger versions, the guys that have a little bit more wiggle and, top end speed, and Robert Foster can prove he can stay healthy, or Kurt Merritt can prove that he's learned the route tree. You know what I mean? Those are great guys to forge the mission forward with in regards to a young, more athletic group of receivers that give Tua all of the many facets of being a great, great receiving core, with Will Fuller and Waddle heading that up and take the top off the defense guys. So, I always said Preston's probably the heir apparent to DVP's position anyway. So if they cut him and Grant and they move from that regime to this new group of guys, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. And there's some money to be had there for us. So they just got to figure it out. And aside from that, man, I hope everybody's out there doing well in the stratosphere. You know what I mean? Fins up for life. And I look forward to talking to y'all next week. So.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week around the same time, right back here at the finish line. Until then, I hope everyone stays happy, healthy, safe, and blessed, and fins up, everyone.